Hello, and welcome back to the anime corner of Stone Soup.
The world according to sci-fi geeks, or in this case, anime.
Whatever. Anime geeks, sci-fi geeks, there's quite a lot of overlap. But the point is, today we're going to be talking about well, no, not really. It's almost 20 years old, so it actually counts as a classic, I guess. Manga and anime, Bisoujo Senshi Sailor Moon, which in English means Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon.
Actually, I think it's beautiful, but either or.
I've usually seen it translated as pretty. Whatever. The point is, originally created by Naoko Takeuchi back in 1992, more or less.
A little later.
Anyway, it's approaching its 20th anniversary. That's one of the reasons we're talking about it. It is also having a comeback. The manga will be republished in English starting in September, including the never-before-translated Codename Sailor V, which is sort of a
prequel, if you will.
Yes.
Backstory there being that Naoko Takeuchi, the creator, originally started with Sailor V, and then some producers at Toei said, ooh, we want to animate this, but could you make it a team?
Yes.
So she started over with Sailor Moon, but she did finish Sailor V on the side.
And then tied it properly into Sailor Moon.
Which is nice.
Sailor Moon is actually noted, it is considered, from what I have read, to have reinvented the entire magical girl genre. Apparently, up until Sailor Moon, typically you'd have one or two magical girls who use their magic to, make mischief, have fun. Sailor Moon was the first one wherein this team of magical girls, there was a team, and they used their powers to fight evil. Mm-hmm. And as Sailor Moon itself is this huge worldwide phenomenon. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't never that big in English, I'm sorry to say, but the rest of the world knew something good when they saw it.
You may recall that when it first started coming over here, we got commercials for those god-awful dolls.
Yeah, and those are ugly dolls.
Referenced Queen Beryl as the villain. This actually only applies to the first season.
Yes. There are 5 story arcs total. And as I was saying about it, reinventing, this is why when you look at it, so many of the other magical girl shows that came after look like they've copied at least some of Sailor Moon. In a way, they have. But in the meantime, Sailor Moon itself has 5 story arcs. The anime originally was trying to just do the first story arc and then stop, but it was so popular they kept going. And
it actually necessitated a 13-episode filler arc to allow Naoko a little time to get the Black Moon arc working.
Yes. Now, each arc, much like with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you can tell each one by the bad guys, because there's a new set of bad guys each season. Their goals can sometimes be kind of similar, but you get used to that. The first season we have, in the original Japanese, they call them the Dark Kingdom. We call them the Negaverse.
Queen Beryl and her 4 generals and their Yoma armies.
Mm-hmm. Each one is sort of, you have the lower levels, mid-bosses, big bosses. It's like a video game that way.
A little.
Second one, we have the Black Moon family, called the Nega Moon. The dub, for some reason, kept trying to tie the bad guys together for the first 2 seasons.
That was a failing on DIC's part.
Yes. With the dub, Deke did the first 2 seasons. Well, actually, the first season and a half. Then Cloverway.
They did all the way to the end of R. Then they lost it.
Right, that's right. They did the first half of the second season, then they stopped for quite some time. Then they managed to do the rest of the second season. Then Cloverway took it. And they stopped trying to tie all the bad guys together, although they kept changing their names.
Well, only a little bit.
Well, they took the Deathbusters of Season 3 and changed it to the Bureau of Bad Behavior. Come on!
True, and they did refer to the Dead Moon Circus as the Dark Moon Circus, when Dead Moon Circus is splayed on the walls in English.
Yes.
It's like, come on!
I get the feeling Cloverway was sort of doing lip service to the censors, because, they'd make these changes, but then they would leave things like that just written all over the place.
True. Calling Fisheye a girl when there are 2 scenes where he is bare-chested, and it's pretty obvious he does not have boobs.
Mm-hmm. It's just their way of saying, yeah, sure, girl. Of course, it's not too far off to call Fisheye transgender.
This is true.
Now, the 5th season, Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars, has never been translated into English.
Outside of fan subbing and the manga.
Yeah, the manga got translated. But
we blame 9/11 for this.
You know how it is, a lot of anime buildings blowing up.
Especially in the last 6 episodes of Stars. Mm-hmm. And let's just say 9/11 really picked the bad time to happen.
Yeah. Now, an interesting thing, the manga and the anime, The manga is actually, in my opinion, slightly better written. It's written for a slightly older audience than the anime was aimed at. The characters mature more quickly. The battles are more grim and serious. More of the bad guys die in the manga than in the anime.
Like, damn near all of them.
Yep.
Pardon my mouth.
Now, another interesting note is that there are actually 4 forms of Sailor Moon. There's the manga, the anime. There was a live-action TV series a few years back which only covered the first story arc.
Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon.
Yes. And there's also a whole series of musical plays. You can find some of the clips on YouTube if you look.
Yeah. Sailor Muse, I believe they were called.
Yes. Sort of a combination of Sailor Moon musical. The Japanese do that. The translators of the manga into English did a very brief novelization series that was mostly aimed for the tween set, but
Yeah.
I still kind of liked it. They only did like
First half of season 1. They got as far as Nephrite dies and then just sort of went flop.
which is a shame because the books were getting really good at that point.
We've actually discussed writing the rest ourselves.
Just, off again, wouldn't that be funny chatter?
Yeah.
Now,
On the plus side, it actually includes 4 episodes that didn't make the dub cut for various unknown reasons.
yes, the dub left out like 4 or 5 episodes of the first season.
Yeah, 5 episodes on the first season, 1 on the second, and mutilated the last 2 episodes of the first season into 1 ep.
Yeah, trying to avoid the fact that, spoiler alert, most of the sailor soldiers die in those last 2 episodes of the first
Like,
season. They
all
get
5 of
better
them.
in the end.
All 5 of them,
Yes.
actually.
But primarily, Sailor Moon follows, a young lady. Her original Japanese name is Usagi Tsukino. In English, she was changed to Serena Tsukino,
Oh.
who one day meets this talking cat named Luna, who gives her magical powers, and she becomes
By a brooch.
Yes. The soldier of love and justice, Sailor Moon. She eventually finds several other sailor soldiers who are all named after the planets in her system.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, not Earth, that's Mamoru, Jupiter, and Mars.
And she has her boyfriend, and there's this whole complicated backstory that, again, spoiler alert, but basically, let's just say reincarnation is involved and long-lost royal families. But
During the second arc, we meet Sailor Pluto, and in the third, we meet Sailors Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn.
they're pretty well spread out. Now, there was never a Sailor Earth because
That is effectively Mamoru, aka Tuxedo Common, or as we call them, Tuxedo Mask.
common means mask or disguise, so it's a perfectly accurate translation. That would also be the Sailor Moon's boyfriend. He's also the only male superhero in the group. So,
A little sad, but
well, it's a girl show. Nah, 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 nah.
Just watch out for Sailor Comas.
Yes.
And, well, actually, there is one more we forgot. Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask's future daughter, Sailor Chibi Moon.
Yes.
Or Mini Moon. Same diff.
Yes.
Chibi is mini or little, so, again, accurate translation. Take a chill.
But yes. I was actually 14 myself, the same age as most of the girls in the series when I first started watching Sailor Moon.
Sounds about right.
And it hit some button in my psyche. I went nuts over it in a way I'd never gone nuts over a show before or have since. I mean, what I just showed you, this is just a tiny, tiny sample of my Sailor Moon collection.
She also has a bunch of the plushies.
Yes, and various other things. I still love it. I don't have quite the same burning passion I did before, but I still enjoy it. Unlike a lot of the fans, I still enjoy the dub because that's what first introduced me to Sailor Moon.
Both of us, really.
Yes, and I grant you, in places it was chopped into chutney, but in other places it was fairly accurate, and they had some really wonderful insults.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, Sailor Bimbos.
I'm so scared. The 3 Sailor Stooges.
Yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I seem to recall it was your friend Sonia who got you into it.
Yeah, she kept wanting to talk to me about it, but it was on way earlier in the
Like
morning than I wanted to get up in the summer.
5:30 in the morning.
That's probably one of the reasons
dark.
it didn't do so well.
Until it hit Tsunami, which one it took off.
For a while.
In fact, I seem to recall you set it on the timer, got like the first 6 episodes. Well, actually, the first 6 episodes of the Rainbow arc. We sort of came in right in the middle.
Rainbow Crystal
Right.
arc.
Rainbow Crystal arc, thank you. And I'd heard about it on and off, and I decided to watch one. And then I wound up watching all 6 in one setting, and I was hooked.
It does that. I remember we were at Comic-Con when Naoko Takeuchi was there, and a guy asked her why she thought this show was so popular with men because there were just as many male fans as female. And her response was, it's about pretty girls in miniskirts. Hey!
I'm sure that had something to do with it.
But, it was one of my first examples of a season-long story arcs. And the idea of, you defeat the villains and they're gone. They don't come back to haunt you later. And, as much as I love various other series, there have always been villains where it's like, can we just get rid of him or her now? Their story is done. Stop bringing them back. And this is one of my first examples of them actually just doing that. And that's one of the things I loved about it. Oh, yeah. That, and I found I rather liked the big flashy transformation sequences. I used to love She-Ra. That might have something to do with it. I mean, it fed into it, I think. But as I said, it's coming up on its 20th anniversary, and it's having a revival. They're bringing back the manga. There have been rumors of Funimation doing a full redub of the series, which could be good, especially if they were to do just a straight dub, no editing. That would be very cool. If they could just keep the voices, because in the original dub, several of the voices got changed out more than once for whatever reason. I mean, Sailor Moon herself had 3 different English voices. And the middle one I loved. The first one was okay. The third one, she was tolerable. I mean, she was trying.
I would prefer the second Chibi Moon to the first one.
Yes.
She just sounds more like a kid to me.
Yes. But, it's just...
Of course, I seem to recall the reason Terry Hawks didn't come back for S and Super S is she was, out to here with twins and couldn't get into the sound booth.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she was a little busy. Fair enough.
Creating life. It's
just fun little series. Basically, fighting evil, friendship, that whole thing. A wide variety of young women with a wide variety of personalities. There's somebody that you could almost certainly identify with someone in the series. There's magic. There's sci-fi. There's time travel. There's all kinds of stuff in here. I mean, it can be an acquired taste. Even while I was watching it, my parents tended to look at me funny. But if you can enjoy this kind of thing, you can enjoy it. I mean, if you like other magical girl series, you should definitely check out Sailor Moon. I have found over the years, checking other anime series, I tend to measure them against Sailor Moon since it was my first, and it doesn't always come out favorably. Mermaid Melody, Peachy Peachy Pitch. I'm just going to say this briefly. It's like Sailor Moon meets the Little Mermaid, the original Little Mermaid, in an ugly head-on collision.
In Hans Christian Andersen's version?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
It's not a terrible show, but it's aimed slightly younger than I am. And I just, I didn't care for the character designs as much. And also, after Sailor Moon, your lead magical girl really shouldn't be, big blue eyes and long blonde pigtails, because that is going to get you, that's just a Sailor Moon ripoff.
And then you have Tokyo Mew Mew, where I think your general perception was okay, but not something I'm going to watch again.
Yeah. It was nice, heavy environmental message. But again, you could see the Sailor Moon influence in it. Though I will give them credit, none of their characters had long blonde hair. They had one blonde, and her hair was really short. For the problem, like I said, Sailor Moon was such a huge phenomenon. So many people know it that having your magical girl hero be big blue eyes and blonde hair, even if they're not the same shade, is going to draw comparisons.
And anything else we want to say?
Forgot to mention there are 3 animated movies. Again, from the anime.
Gotcha.
This is the first one.
One for each of the 3 mid-seasons.
Yes.
Don't know why the other 2 didn't get one. Who knows? Who cares?
There's no word yet if anybody's going to be crazy enough to try and do a live-action one. I mean, like I said, they did the live-action TV series.
Well,
but they could try. Like I said, we got 5 plot lines here. Just take one season, do that as a movie. Maybe it will work. Yeah, maybe. But when you look at stuff like the live-action Cutie Honey, it becomes questionable. But it could work maybe if the right people did it. It's hard to say. But with Hollywood just taking things from everywhere, you just never know when it might come up. But like we said, it's making a comeback. We're fans. We think that's kind of cool. Whether or not, it probably won't be quite what it was before. It is a little dated now, if only due to the lack of cell phones. But
and in Super S, they bring up the internet. like it's a new thing, which
Yeah,
it
they-
relatively was at the time. I think that was
Yeah.
like back in the age of AO hell.
Yeah. So yeah, they might have to tweak that a little. But yeah, there's just I personally find there to be something special about it. Like I said, yeah, there's all these different variations on it, so you can find almost anything. Yeah, like I said, with all these different variations, they do change the story slightly each time, so that there's something
little
new
bit.
there. A little bit, yes. But Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon, the magical girl that started it all, practically. I like it.
I kind of love it. Still, go me.
Yeah.
Go figure. I think that's about it for this one.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, till next time then.
Bye-bye.
Okay.